All right. Thank you so much for joining me here on a Monday night live. What do you guys say? Live now, sending it out on Twitter real quick. Thank you so much, guys. Let's get it rocking and rolling. It's a Monday night live. Market is pumping. What do you say? So much taking place in the current events, cryptocurrency pumping, and we want to take care of our families right now during the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. And God willing, we're going to be able to survive the chaos, plenty of distractions, and a market that's starting to move quickly. And right now, a sense of urgency has really spread throughout the people as they see all the lies and the simulation events that have really popped off here in the last few years that have accelerated this great awakening of the people. That is where we are at in the timeline. Where are we at in the XRP timeline? Full clarity, essentially. And where are we at in the crypto timeline? I think, to be honest, that we're getting suckered in here again. Now, I was going to ask you guys here to start this episode tonight. Do you guys just want to live in this moment? Should we just live in this pump and act like this is going to continue and this is the beginning of the next bull run and it's only going to be up from here and it's only going to be good times, sunshine, rainbows, and let me know where the yacht party's at right now? Or do you guys want to have the real conversation about what kind of setup this is? It's really unbelievable. We watched something take place the last 2 years, and really it's just a matter of following how this market has moved historically, tying it together with the current events that are unfolding, and we've gotten XRP price timeline wrong, but is everything still at play? Absolutely. Absolutely. We've gotten wrong on our price predictions for gold, silver, hasn't taken off either. All these suppressed assets with utility, with a strong desire to, have assets with no counterparty risk during a time when we have more derivatives than we can keep track of. There's tons of appeal. And the urgency that you're seeing here now is incredible. Okay? The people are tapped out. Today's manipulation pump is just that. We've been here before. And as someone in the XRP community, we've been here before. Up to 55 cents for XRP, and Bitcoin taps out at 35,200 here today. I dropped a video here earlier today. It was pumping. It was already up over 34,000 as I was recording. And remember, that you might be watching this after the live show here as I'm going live here, 7:45 p.m. on the West Coast, 11 p.m. East Coast. And the Aussies in the chat, huge shout out to the Australians, Hawaii. You guys are still behind us here on the West Coast. And so it's still a decent time for you guys, 11 o'clock on the East Coast of the United States. Thank you for tapping in. If you appreciate the live shows, if you appreciate the content, as always, if you can just share it out far and wide, let everyone know that I'm live for the night if you're here. And if you're after the fact, it really helps by tapping that thumbs up for us. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. We got plenty of people that watch the content. We continue showing up in your algorithm because you keep on watching us. But why haven't you subscribed yet? It's pretty incredible when you see the analytics on that. But all that aside, I have nothing to sell you guys. You guys know my deal. I want to bring it to you guys. Current events, cryptocurrency, greatest transfer of wealth, world history. How's your program working out? We don't have time to play around. We do have time to have a nice adult beverage, sit back and enjoy the show, but we have to show up every single day right now and stay focused and locked in with complete clarity. XRP, just one part of the clarity, but getting tapped in on our purpose right now is key. So we're going to run it up here. I see BDF Coach in the chat. Huge shout out to BDF Coach, one of the real ones, dropping a 10 spot to get us started here for tonight. More distractions than ever, absolutely. Refuse misinformation, stand together, know what you hold. That's what it's all about, and we continue building. We will not stop. We will not back down. We already got a couple hundred folks here in the chat tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's get it started, folks. Taking a look at this chart. Bitcoin back up to 34. Let me refresh it. 34.7. This thing's moving so quickly right now. Ethereum at 1,800, XRP at 55 cents. So we are moving full chart look. 34.7 Qcoin 4-hour chart. Make sure we're locked and loaded here. 34.786. It's moving so quickly right now, but as I said, back up to 35.2. We just tapped 35.2 here on the Qcoin 4-hour chart Bitcoin. And as I said, what did we get last week? Monday, fake news, Bitcoin spot ETF approved. Didn't happen, wasn't actually announced. We got this pump back up above to 30,000. Okay. And then towards the end of last week, we get this rally. Okay. Now, to start off the week here, again, we are on fire, and the narrative is the same. It's Bitcoin spot ETF speculation. We also have something else that I wanted to show you guys. It's going to be the first tweet that I'm talking about here tonight from Zero Hedge. From the post, it appears we now know the answer. And we're talking about every time China FX outflows surge, Bitcoin erupts. From last Friday, China capital flight panic erupts. This is the same thing that you're seeing take place with gold. That's why there's a $100 per ounce premium. It's actually a lot more. It's like $115 per ounce premium in the Shanghai futures and over in China right now for gold, compared to the US and the West and the paper market that's way suppressed. When it comes to actually getting the metal in your hands, they're paying a $100 premium on top of what our markets are giving us, and that doesn't include the premium that they're paying to the dealer, right? So they could pay another 70, 80, $100 to the dealer on top of that. Now, what's happening with Bitcoin, same thing. It's a flight to quality, as Larry Fink described it. Folks are moving. They think that Bitcoin's quality, but also it's their only option for getting hundreds of millions and billions of dollars out of China. That is what is happening right now in real time. And you can see it right here. We had one of the biggest outflows in years just this last month in September. So I'm not just saying this. This is backed up by the data. Now, Bitcoin, funny enough, I see a bunch of Tether flowing around here today, along with the narrative that a Bitcoin spot ETF is going to get approved. And as I've been saying, this is a buy the rumor, sell the news event. When this does get announced, it is going to roll over in a massive way. Now, funny enough, we're coming up on your harvest moon, full moon, partial lunar eclipse after we just had our solar eclipse back here Saturday on the 14th. We had our second solar eclipse. And so this is this is that time of year where we go back-to-back eclipses. And what does Bitcoin do? Just goes nuts with a fake out to the upside before the sacrificed harvest comes in. Are you ready? Most people don't want to accept that. You guys, let me know in the chat. Do you just want hopium? Do you just want up, up, and up? Green candles only? Or do you want me to give you the secret sauce as we see it, as we decode it, as we put it together into the timeline? I wish that I could say this is the beginning of the next bull run, and we might lose a few viewers, but that's all right, because the real ones are going to stay and the real ones will prosper, because we're going to build during this bear market, and when the time does come, we are going a lot higher. And I am going to say it right here once again. I pay my respects to Bitcoin, as we just covered in one of our most recent videos. 100 trillion in settlement on Bitcoin so far. That's a tremendous feat in and of itself. The fact that Bitcoin has $100 trillion worth of value moved so far. That's an incredible feat. And so what you're seeing right now is outflows in a flight to quality worldwide. That's why you're seeing commodities rip. Okay, the DXY rolled back over here today. Stocks, basically moved sideways, did a little bit of a rally. But what we saw is gold got, hit a little bit, silver got hit a little bit, but crypto got set free for a second here. And this thing, I was watching it on the weekly chart, way zoomed out, right? I was just showing you guys the 4-hour chart. On the weekly chart, zoomed out. Just watching this green candle just keep on moving up. I had to keep on zooming out of my screen. It was unreal. And this was happening during the earlier video that I dropped. But we're going here once again here today, back up, 34.6. This thing's going to move hundreds of dollars just during this stream here today. We have a bunch of liquidity, a bunch of volume that came in here. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about on the chart here. Bunch of volume coming in. We had a bunch of volume come in back on the fake news rally that took place last Monday, right? And see, here's where we're at here today. Up to 35,000, pretty incredible, but we're going to watch it. Remember, 1 year ago today, we were warning about the lunar eclipse, who was going to get sacrificed. We didn't know it was going to be Sam Bankman-Fried, but that was the chosen ritual sacrifice of the crypto space. And I really caution and I worry. I wish it could be a pump party. I mean, it is a pump party. We are pumping, but look out. I'm just going to make that very clear, because I got my crypto explosion. I titled the video Bitcoin and XRP Pump. And if you're just here for hopium pump talk, well, that's the end of the Bitcoin pump hopium talk, okay? And at the end, we'll get back into cryptocurrency and how massive this is for this space. But right now, I'm going to move into the current events as we tie this whole thing together. You guys know what we got to do here. We got to tie this thing together, but then we got to relate it back to you so that you can take actionable steps. Actually put this thing to use. Not just understand the conspiracy theory while we're hanging out around the bonfire with our buddies having a cold one, but actually make some investments. Actually, position our business and our family according to what we see coming. That's what we do here. We're not here to pick a side. We're here to take advantage of the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. And the fact of the matter is this right here to get it started. The bottom 20% of American workers are devoting 80% of expenditures to essential goods like food per BI. Now, this is what's so interesting about this is how much they want to cut out of the CPI and the different core CPI, core PCE, all these different inflation metrics where they're just cutting out, what was it? The new one from Paul Krugman, the super core. That's how he's saying that the Fed has beat inflation because we have the super core, which excludes food, shelter, energy, and used car sales, everything that matters. And this data point right here shows that the bottom 20% where, you're just getting by, right? The poor and even the middle class are feeling it as well. But for the 20%, the bottom 20%, they're devoting 80% of expenditures to essential goods like food. And this is the stuff that the talking head pundits want to say doesn't matter. Let's strip that out of inflation data and let's run with that when we do our talking head presentation. And this is why I say that the American people are getting taken to the slaughter, just like the crypto Bitcoin bros are right now. Let's continue. Kevin, we the people. He says, if you've been following me, I've been warning you about this for a long time. There is a reason that they financially destroyed everyone. You bet. All done by design, order out of chaos. Canada is introducing universal basic income. This UBI will probably be in the form of central bank digital currencies. If CBDCs get accepted by society, it's game over. Now, I don't really subscribe to that. I mean, it's game over as we know it. It's American dream over as we know it. And you guys know where I stand on that. CBDCs are going to be inevitable. But, we do have a question here of the role of central banks. Are they constitutional? What was the role? What was the intention when we formed them 100 years ago? What has happened to our dollar during that 100-year time span? And if you want the quick answer, it's they've completely destroyed the value of the dollar by about 100%. And this is why we are in the current reality that we live in, where the bottom 20% are spending 80% of their money on the basic essentials just to get by. They have nothing extra. They aren't having fun. And right now we see it in the crypto space, in the XRP community too. I've been talking about this. We got clarity. We want to have a proper party. We want to have a good time. World around us is on fire. And so folks thought that the phoenix rising from the ashes was just a cute meme. None of this is cute memes. This is livelihoods on the line, retirements. I mean, everything that people have worked for. And what's their plan? Oh, if you're a good little peasant slave, you can still get your little UBI check. You can get your student loan forgiveness. Oh, wait, Supreme Court struck that one down, but that's what Biden's trying to do. That's what the agenda's trying to do. Right. And it's all here. Now we see CBDC for everyone to take a look at. And for me, it's a matter of this brings a real conversation out in the United States about the role of our Federal Reserve, a private central bank that is, not elected, does not answer to a government that is elected. And so what do we have going on here? And this whole thing about, it's not supposed to be politics. It's not supposed to be connected. Well, we know what Trump did with the Treasury Department and the Federal Reserve. He really did shake things up in a big way with some of his executive orders and the laws that he got passed. Now, what's happened since the new agenda came in, the new White House, we'll call it, the new situation, the new reality, the new act on the world stage, Biden didn't even know where he was at today. He walked right up to the podium and he was going to introduce himself. Oh, wait, I'm not supposed to introduce myself. The guy has no idea where he's at. I guess may he rest in peace or something, or may he rest somewhere. May he rest somewhere. This is the situation at hand, is that they just run with this. Everything's fine. Everything's okay while we get stripped of all of our wealth. But okay, be a good slave. It'll be okay. Government's here to give you a UBI check. And the thing about it is folks like to be a little bit exaggerative with these CBDCs, with the surveillance, with all of that, because for all intents and purposes, we already have a welfare state that is so far gone from what we once had in this country, where we had a prosperous, free people that didn't rely upon the government. That's not normal. And the new, the favorite phrase, the new normal is to rely upon government. Government is your daddy. And guess what? Daddy J. Powell, along with the government, is here to wreck you. And that's all done by design, i.e. why the wealth is being stripped from the middle class and poor, what little they had. And it's only going to get worse from here. But step into line, be a good little guy, don't question the narrative, and we got some CBDC chips for you. And it doesn't have to go to CBDC to us already to be so far gone from the country that we once had, i.e. the welfare state that we have. It's really sad. And the problems that we have while we send trillions of dollars worldwide, and I'm about to get into the current events on the situation at hand, on why we're going to send billions upon tens of billions upon trillions more, because we find ourselves in the middle of another conflict. Now, I cannot confirm this. This was shared here today on Twitter. I cannot confirm this. So let's just watch this, verify this. Multiple sources have shared this on Twitter, but I haven't seen anything verifying this. Media reports that Putin had a heart attack on Sunday and lost consciousness. He has since regained consciousness. And the story was that he had passed out or something like that. I don't even know if that's real. I can't confirm that. I'm not seeing any real... I saw that some mainstream sources were sharing that, but you know what age of media deception we live in. So let's watch that one closely. Let's see if we can confirm that. But that is being reported here today. I mean, folks, it's popping off here in a real way, and in a way that we need to stop and pray, and we need to ask, God to protect us, because this is getting wild. The U.S. is getting dragged into this situation. U.S. accusing Iran of facilitating attacks on U.S. forces in the Middle East. U.S. dispatches Marine 3-star general who led the fight against ISIS along with several others to assist Israel with the military preparations, including for a ground invasion. The U.S. accuses Iran of supporting Hamas and Hezbollah and actively facilitating attacks in the region. The U.S. warns of the potential for a significant escalation in attacks against U.S. forces in the near term, with Iran and proxy forces seeking to exploit the conflict. The Hamas onslaught on October 7th led to significant casualties on both sides and ongoing conflict in the region. The U.S. has promised defense aid to Israel following the October 7th attack. This is coming from the Times of Israel. So we are dispatching 3-star general. We are sending warships. We are sending big hitters and assets to the Middle East. And you guys already know that we have significant assets over there. Now, it was also reported today that our largest army base in Syria was hit with a major explosion blast today. So I continue to pray for our troops. I support our troops, but I don't support necessarily all of the agendas that the military-industrial complex deploys our good men and women towards. Absolutely not. And I have to remind the American people, we have a constitutional process for going to war. We declare it through Congress, which we haven't done in decades. I think it's been in half a century or longer. World War II might be our last declared war, actually, a matter of fact. But we found ourselves in dozens upon dozens of skirmishes, battles, wars, operations, call it whatever you want, occupations, and we've spent trillions of dollars, and we're now at a point where we can't track where our weapons of war have gone. But do the profiteers back here care? No. Right? Raytheon and some of the other military industrial complex stocks pump. Okay. And that's what we cheer on. And that's why we are starting to see a flight to safety here, a flight to quality, is because folks are starting to realize that this war is not going to be ending anytime soon. Just like with the Russia-Ukraine situation, that started in February of last year. This doesn't look like it's going to be a Yom Kippur type war like we got in 1973, 50 years ago, during the last, right around the last Jubilee year, go figure, right after another Shemitah year, go figure. We get a Yom Kippur war that lasted October 6th through the 25th, relatively quick military operation, and then it was about done. Now, there's obviously still been a situation going on in that region since, and it's still, it's a very, very tense one that impacts the whole entire region. And this is my thing is we have no idea where our money's at, what our troops are being used for. We can't even afford to do it if we wanted to, is the main point that I've been saying. And I continue to support our troops, as I always said. I want us to have the strongest military in the world, the best military capabilities, the best defense capabilities. But we have our territory for now. We don't need, this world doesn't need to be up for territorial battles anymore. It's just as simple as that. Don't harm other individuals and let's just live is where I'm at with this thing. But clearly, that's not where the elites are at with their agenda and what's at stake. See, this isn't just billions on the line. This is trillions on the line, as I've been saying. That's why they're willing to deploy such assets to the region, to the operations, and what they're getting out of it too, right? Like this whole Ukraine situation, we have no idea where it's been going, what's happening, and it's really unfortunate as an American citizen to see our country falling apart here on the world stage and losing respect on the world stage. And that's without a doubt for the last few years, right? And some would argue that even over the last couple of decades, we've struggled to find our purpose. We weren't able to really claim a victory in the Middle East, other than we knew that we spent trillions of dollars and the region's kind of just as bad, if not worse off than when we stepped in. That's the reality. That's the truth. And they're ready to send our good men and women back to war. It's pretty scary out here as we watch this unfold. The USS Carney destroyer attack with drones in the Red Sea of the coast off Yemen. This actually did turn out to not be true. So this is why it's important to follow up, right? We cover these things, and I appreciate how Mario said unverified. That's what I've been doing with some of my tweets too, is I say, has this been confirmed? And that's me, asking to get further verification on some of these things. But we're watching this situation unfold here because it just takes one slip of the trigger and we can really set off a powder keg. Now, when we bring the situation back home, the corruption is being exposed at a level that we haven't seen in the history of our country, really. We have found a $200,000 direct payment to Joe Biden. And this is from the Oversight Committee at Congress. This is the picture right here. It's really unbelievable. Or is this no surprise? Right? Or is this all part of a show of DC really getting exposed at every level? And we see the media in full panic mode. And it's so funny trying to watch them save face from what they've been feeding us for the past few years to what's happening now. And it's not even political, like I said. Clearly, we've had corruption. We've dealt with that in the XRP community with Ethereum Gate. That's one part of the whole timeline here. We put this whole thing together, though, and we look at the broader picture here. This is corrupt as heck. We've lost our country. Some would say that the enemy is already within. And that's where I'm at. And that's why I believe that every one of you guys, along with me, we have to be at a warlike posture, even when it comes to making our financial decisions. It's not happy, slappy, white picket fence, grandpappy's American dream anymore. That's dead and gone in America. Our bonds just had the worst year ever. Our stocks are getting ready to correct. We have a little crypto pump. That's good. But like a few percentage point, maybe 10, I guess quite a few people know about crypto now, but how many people actually have crypto, right? Not that many. We're a very small group. But the corruption that's getting exposed is actually just incredible. Right now, we have China with 6 warships in the Middle East, okay? And they've been there for a while. They have been there. We get a fact check here on Twitter. Readers added context. For regular operations since May, the 6 Chinese warships have been stationed in the area. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we just call it the new normal operations? Because that's what this is. And that's what the elite in these countries are fighting over for, is commodities, resources, and the currency war is part of it too. It's a currency and commodity war at the most basic fundamental level. There is some territories that are being fought out right now, but this thing is picking up, and we have a hijacked country. Brian Costello commenting on this fact of what's taking place in the United States, because this all ties back to what? The three-letter bureaucrats, the unelected officials that are coming after the American people. China's new might, aligned with Russia and Iran partnership, is aimed at the changing world order. The SEC's role in hiding Chinese executives like Neil Shen from Sequoia and other U.S. capital market crimes, and I would add cryptocurrency market crimes, right? ICOs, i.e. Ethereum, and as we covered right at the beginning, right, the outflows out of China, they are loving using Bitcoin to get money out of that country, even though the country is, banned it. The folks are still finding a way. And now we have Gary Gensler and Jay Clayton. You had an opportunity to prioritize our nation's defenders. Sorry. Let me bring it back. We have been hiding executives like Neil Shen from other U.S. capital market crimes, and this has played a significant role in normalizing China frauds. Add in all of the IPOs, the biggest IPO ever done with Jay Clayton at the helm, Alibaba, right? Gary Gensler, Jay Clayton, you had an opportunity to prioritize our nation's defenders, but your personal interest prevailed the media, and Congress had a chance to shine a light on this travesty and has also cowered. God bless the men and women who now deal with the consequences of the SEC corruption and catastrophic failure related to China frauds. Now, that's the cryptocurrency space in a nutshell, right? And we covered this thing years ago when 60% of the Bitcoin mining was taking place in China. And, well, actually, what was it? It was 80%. It was 80% for Bitcoin, and it was 60% for Ethereum. Maybe I'm flip-flopping those. But it was well over 50% of the mining was happening at 4 large mining pools for Bitcoin. And I think it was like 6 or 8 large mining pools for Ethereum out of China. And then they banned it. And at the time, I said, well, this is good because this actually helps decentralize the network. But we found the complete opposite with the price of Bitcoin tanking. A lot of the Bitcoin mining has actually been consolidated as of late because most folks can't make money with Bitcoin prices at this low price. And the cost here to the American people is massive. The damages are massive. And our Ethereum whistleblower, Steven Narioff, who has just become the best friend of the XRP community, huge shout out to Steven. He responds to Brian Costello, the last tweet that I just read you guys, right, about the connection with Sequoia Capital and the CCP. Are U.S. officials and VCs working for America's best interests? This is insane. The top U.S. VC funding advanced military technology for the CCP, and no member of Congress said a word in support. And why hasn't Patrick McHenry subpoenaed Gary Gensler on the Magic Bullet license to Prometheum, which is tied to CCP entity Wang Cheng? He agrees is a national security concern. The SEC gave Prometheum CEO the same playbook Joseph, that would be Ethereum Joseph Lubin, and Vitalik Buterin used with Ethereum. Comments by Aaron Kaplan, Prometheum CEO, article below, and compare them to the ones by Lubin, and they are eerily similar. It also appears that Prometheum owns or owned the domain killtrump.crypto. See posts from Boring Sleuth below. Thank you, everyone, for joining me here tonight. Appreciate you guys. Let's continue. In both cases, the SEC proactively gave monopolistic regulatory blessings to entities controlled and reliant on the very same CCP entity, Wang Sheng, and U.S. entities were either ignored or worse, were persecuted in clear agency overreach like Ripple. So I say, Steven just became our best friend. He's got receipts for days. Why did T0 not get this license, which I helped architect and is invested in by the New York Stock Exchange parent, ICE Markets, has worked closely with SEC since 2016 to obtain all regulatory approvals, licenses, and has been actively trading for years. Gee, that sounds a lot like Ripple, right? Trying to do all the right things, getting the licenses, doing everything, working with the SEC, only to just not be approved, right? The time for letters ended long ago. Subpoena Gensler now. which is within your McHenry's right. The SEC led a 4-year fabricated criminal prosecution against me and issued multiple subpoenas outside their authority or were improper, and I exposed these activities. Please, legally do to the SEC what it legally does to innocent people. Thank you, Brian Costello, for staying on top of these developments, and Bannon 2024 for bringing attention to the issue. Now, this is the American people stepping up, and I tell you what, there are folks, patriots like Steven, that want to sound the alarm. And what we have is we've been waiting, right, for this all to kind of finally come to fruition. Now it is. And you ask, how can that be? By the fact that Brad and Chris had their charges dismissed this last week, right? That is confirmation that the SEC is backing down. They are backing down, and they know that they will get exposed if they continue going down this road. So now you're starting to see a different tune. Now you're starting to see Hester Pierce make her appearance today on mainstream media, trying to, I don't understand why we haven't approved a Bitcoin spot ETF. She says it mystifies me. It's just mystical, magical, right? It's a joke. And you see Jay Clayton here too, and I love this. Steven Narioff coming up with the nickname Payday J. Protecting Clayton will be a scandal for Fox Business. And this is what's crazy, is Steven Narioff called out Charlie Gasparino and Fox Business this weekend too. Steven has no chill, and he just keeps on sending shots. I mean, it's unbelievable to watch. He is going after anybody who gets in the way of what made America the best capital markets in the world. Right? This is what we want for crypto. Steven's trying to be a part of that. And we've had these crooks at the helm. Protecting Clayton will be a scandal for Fox Business. He was chair when they tried to falsely imprison me for decades and wrongly pursued Ripple. He will be exposed and anyone protecting him. Hey, Payday J, just between us, I know the other thing you did that you needed to silence me. Quite the coincidence, my arrest date, eh? And he tags Charlie Gasparino, who is an absolute joke. He loves just getting his engagement from the XRP community. I don't even think that he really means it. I think that it's just he wants to get attention, really. But we know that Charlie, he's also a shill. He's a Wall Street shill through and through. And that's why he's at Fox Business, And God bless Eleanor Terrett. We love Eleanor Terrett. She's done a great job covering this case, right? And I love this nickname, Payday J. And he takes Fox Business. He takes Cameron Winklevoss and Tyler Winklevoss. Hypocritical narcissist. That's what he tags for Payday J. I absolutely love to see it, folks. And this corruption, this is what we've been needing to clean up in the cryptocurrency space. Not only do we have to clean up because there was fraud, scams, and BS that was taking place in the cryptocurrency space. We all get that. But now we are also going to be getting regulations, and this is what sets us free. We got to do our part in the crypto space to call out the scams. We need to not invest in these scams and start doing due diligence before we start throwing money around at all these projects. And that's one part of it. But what we're going to continue to do, as I said, they're not going to shut us up with an SEC Ripple settlement. We're going to continue to apply pressure until we get a level playing field. And that won't be enough either. Because not only do the American people deserve and demand a level playing field, but sorry, not sorry, we're going to have to come after you for your crimes against humanity and your crimes against our capital markets and your crimes against this future digital asset market and against the American people. This is criminal to the highest levels, from little checks for $200,000 to Joe Biden, which the oversight committee just shared. And we are so far gone. And I mean, we should be having hearings every day. They shouldn't be stopping what is taking place in Congress. They should be working dang near around the clock. You know what I'm saying? At least putting in 8 hours every single day. But they are only working there half the year. And we wonder why we can't get anywhere with accountability or shutting down the DC corporation that hijacked this country. And the American people are starting to wake up. They're starting to see it. And like I said, for us in the crypto space, in the XRP community, we've been the adults. We don't really play around with the scams. We avoided it. We've called it out from the very beginning. But this is something that the crypto space wants to try to put by us. And the price action today, the pumping of Bitcoin in the crypto markets today makes us kind of forget temporarily on what we're cleaning up. And what I'm talking about right here is this: Ram Alawali Lumida. I probably butchered that. I'm sorry, Ram. And he shares this tweet right here. This is a thread. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he says, New York Attorney General versus digital currency group Barry Silbert. He says FTX was worse than Madoff and digital currency group was worse than Enron. This thread will show you how and why the New York Attorney General's request will force a sale of Grayscale. So we have a lot of hype because today's news that got shared was the SEC is going to have to re-examine the Grayscale approval of their ETF, because Grayscale just got that victory from the judge, and that was another big loss for the SEC. Now the SEC is going to have to take another look at this Grayscale ETF. So that's what has us pumping today, right? Is this narrative. But this gentleman right here says that if you dig a little bit deeper, and as we are seeing right now with what's being exposed to FTX at the trial that's taking place, right? We're seeing it all get exposed in real time. And FTX was worse than Madoff, and we will see whether a digital currency group was worse than Enron, but that's what this gentleman's statement is right here. And he's saying, you kind of have this flow of funds that, kind of just got sloshed around here between digital currency group, Genesis, and potentially, the customer funds and liabilities weren't adding up, weren't straight, right? And so this is what I mean. We got to clean this up in our space, but we also deserve the level playing field from Congress and those that are holding us back. Stephen Narioff suggesting a safe harbor provision is a must. Crypto regs can't give SEC authority to decide a token security status based on the vague decentralization test without a safe harbor. The SEC can arbitrarily give a free pass or not, which was the main issue with Ether or versus the XRP decisions. And this is what we've been saying too. Just because the SEC does have a case against many ICOs, we've always said that. And we've always said, watch out, be aware for a lot of these projects that did ICOs and the SEC is going to be able to come kill them. That's what's going to happen. Because they did an unregistered securities offering. They did, they raised funds based off of the efforts that they were putting forward. And it was an investment for profit. It meets all the Howey Prong test. And in some cases, they didn't even have a token built out. Now, the reason why this happened was because, of course, they gave Ethereum the green light and the token factory was spawned. And just one after another, tens of thousands of tokens later, we have the ERC20 token factory. And that's why they're going to be able to go kill off so many of them. They'll have millions upon billions of dollars to go collect. Now, on average, the SEC collects a few $1 billion per year in fines, by the way, from the American people. And it's supposed to go back to investor education, is what they say. Yeah, sure. I believe that one. Yeah, absolutely. And what we need here is a safe harbor. We need an understanding that folks that try to do things the right way don't deserve to be, taken to town here when it comes to lack of clarity, lack of regulations in the United States. And what I want to warn our community about here is we're starting to see we have a tremendous pump today. It's incredible. An explosion. Bitcoin pumping thousands of dollars in one day. We haven't seen a move like this, right, since the bull market. It has everyone feeling great, right? But we have to watch out for what the Bitcoin spot ETFs are going to do. Caitlin Long puts this out. And remember, she's the founder CEO of Custia Bank. For everyone excited about the coming Bitcoin ETF, don't forget it's a double-edged sword. We're probably seeing the positive side now. Here's one of my 2018 articles explaining the downside, though. ETF market makers can legally go naked short. That's the standard. I.e., why gold and silver and all these other markets are so rigged is because you have so many other claims and derivatives that are trading against the underlying asset. Now, this has changed, right, because of Basel III requirements. And, what you're seeing is that this has changed because the new banking requirements and the banks are going bust right now with hundreds of billions of unrealized losses on their balance sheet. It's not good. But what we're going to see here is regulations finally passed for digital assets too, and hopefully they'll provide, some sort of clarity on what type of backing we need for these ETFs. This is why I'm not going to be jumping at the gun to invest in any of these ETFs, because this is just another derivative of the underlying product that we really don't want or need to invest in, when we can just go buy the real thing and custody the real thing at no cost. Really doesn't take much. And this article here that she put together was from Forbes, and this one was put out just a couple years ago when this was just getting started to talk about, right? Why existing financialization precedents don't apply to cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are equity-based assets, which means they are no one's liabilities. They are not IOUs, and they are not counterparties. Examples of other equity-based assets are land, physical commodities, and personal property. This is what we want to be stacking right now. The real thing, not a derivative of the real asset, the real equity-based asset with nobody else's liability. No one else is a counterparty. There are no IOUs. And that's what the whole Wall Street scheme is about, is getting you into somebody else's IOU, i.e. a stock is just another representation of that at the most basic level, i.e. why I don't really look to move into the stock market, the public stock market. At some point, I may start trading that a little bit more, but right now I don't see any reason to take long-term positions at all, right? Is because this is where a company's already gone public. They're looking for exit liquidity from the public markets, and then the company is still going to do well, and the stock can still perform well going forward after they do an IPO, but all the money is made in private equity deals before they go public. And all the real wealth is stored in the real assets. Land, physical commodities, and personal property, which is what digital assets is as well. And all this is doing, and by the way, this will be good for the underlying asset, because they're only going to be able to make so many claims, so many derivatives for the Bitcoin that is backing it, for the gold that is backing it. And this is where you have to respect Bitcoin, because when it comes to Bitcoin, there is only 21 million of the things, and many more have been lost, many more have been destroyed, and what have you. So there is that setup for Bitcoin, i.e. it is right now being used to, folks are flying out of their native currencies, whether it's China or whether it's other countries around the world or whether it's Americans. People around the world understand they're fed up, not just with our Federal Reserve, but with central banks around the world. But our Federal Reserve is inflicting the most pain worldwide because we're raising the interest rates at the fastest pace in history. And we have the reserve currency, and everybody else owns our debt, i.e. our bonds, or so they did. But now they're dropping them at the fastest pace in decades, and now the Fed is rug pulling Main Street America. So this is why we have to be careful right now. This is a very, very different market from where we were at a couple years ago. Now, we can see this flip of the switch moment for the Fed, and Fed's Pandora's box, as I'm calling it, can get turned back on. We can open that genie, bust that genie back out of the bottle here once again next year, or if we get Black Swan sooner, or wait, we just have World War III popping off right now as we speak. And so how soon until we get the Fed pivot? We already have a form of soft pivot. And the way that we will confirm the soft pivot, and this is so just ridiculous to be talking like this, but this is what we have to do because we're trying to decode Jerome Powell. The soft pivot is by pausing the interest rate increases. See, he was raising rates, and they were telling us that we get one more this year. But at the last Fed meeting, what did they do? Pause. That's a form of soft pivot. It's not a complete 180 turn. It's a form of a soft pivot. Okay, and we will see that the soft pivot is confirmed if they don't raise rates for the rest of the year. We'll see if they do. Inflation's ticking back up, so a lot of people are starting to, bet that, okay, wow, they actually are going to have to raise rates one more time. And Fed Chair Powell and the rest of the Fed chairs are still leaving that on the table. And so that is coming. And what this is doing too is propping up the bond market. So your 2-year back up to 5%, the 10-year Treasury bond back up to 5% since 2007. See, we're going back to the Great Financial Crisis. We see the same technical analysis that takes us back to the 87 Black Monday market crash. And we're seeing something that we've never seen before, which is a cryptocurrency market. Now, this thing is incredible because it gets killed faster. We ripped the Band-Aid off in crypto. It's like we just got slaughtered 90%. What did Bitcoin do for the full pullback? What is that? Like a 75%? I don't have the exact numbers on Bitcoin from 69,000 down to 15K. That's a rough go at it, right? While the rest of the markets are still lagging and or they're starting to turn over. And so we have to be prepared to adjust where our portfolio's been, what we're doing with the money that we make, and that we actually can move towards investments. The goal right now needs to be for all of us to make more money, to have excess money to deploy towards buying these assets. This is what we want to be accumulating right now because all of these assets are going on sale. They've been propped up by debt, i.e. derivatives of the actual thing, which is a mortgage. And if you don't think that 0% interest rates and mortgage rates being at 2 and 3% for years has propped something up, it definitely has. And that's why we're seeing such drastic price declines in markets around the United States right now, is because the real estate has been lagging, but it's now hitting, and it's hitting hard. And the amount of listings are still growing. It's not enough to meet up with demand. And in some areas, you're still seeing price increase, while in some other cities, you're seeing significant price declines of 10% plus year over year. So the real estate is lagging but going bust as we speak. That's being reset in some markets. Commercial real estate in particular, right? A lot of folks are going to be fine. They have a 2, 3, 4, 5% mortgage. They're going to be absolutely fine as long as they can still make their payments, as long as we don't go into a recession. That's what everybody says who understands real estate, right? Is they're saying, well, this time it's different. This time everybody, as long as they can just keep making their payments, they have good payments, they have good jobs for now. And we're predicting that we don't go into a recession. We're predicting that we don't go into an inflationary depression. It's not just stagflation, it's an inflationary depression where inflation runs rampant, right? While demand's falling off and the economy is in a recession contraction. And right now, for me, it's been so simple. We've been preparing ourselves for this moment when the land, the physical commodities, and the personal property and the crypto has been on sale. And so crypto's been on sale first. Now we're starting to see it climb up. Even if we roll back over, we have to acknowledge we are at the precipice of institutional flows, Wall Street, 401ks, retirements, everyone in their grandma, literally, being able to get exposure to Bitcoin. Because they'll be able to tell their fund manager, their financial advisor, hey, can you pick me up some of that Bitcoin stuff? And that's what happens with the ETFs. And this is where we see that we get $3 trillion in the overall cryptocurrency market cap last bull run. Bitcoin has settled $100 trillion in value so far since its inception, which is a tremendous feat in and of itself. But we are just getting started with this thing. We moved to quadrillions. Right, I dropped a video last week, $100 trillion confirmed, 1 quadrillion next. And I asked the question, but to me, it's already set in stone. If we were able to settle $100 trillion just on Bitcoin, an inefficient, slow, and expensive network, what the heck do you think that we're going to be doing with XRP and some of these other digital assets that can actually move some liquidity in a major way? Now, we did pick up on this today, by the way. We did get the official order from Judge Torres signing off on the dismissal of the charges against Brad and Chris. And so Fred Rispoli says this, the signed order from Judge Torres just came in granting the stipulation of dismissal. In reading the original stipulation, I failed to notice the parties only agreed to dismiss Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson from the institutional sales claim only, as the judge ruled in Ripple's favor on programmatic sales and other distributions. One sec. I see we got a super chat from JJ. Didn't want to miss that super chat. JJ, thank you for the 5 spot. He says, what's good, chat? Who's ready for some weird distractions in PsyOps? By the way, the XRP timeline conspiracy, that is one big psychological operation too, by the way. If we're not clear on that, if you're in the XRP community, You are in a psyop. I'm telling you that right now. JJ, I appreciate you, brother. Stay frosty, chat. Things are going to get even stranger. Much love. JJ, I appreciate you, brother. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody else. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for the support. Okay, let's keep it rocking and rolling. Let's keep it rocking and rolling. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, please smash that thumbs up. And if you haven't already, maybe get yourself an adult beverage because we're about to hit the Q&A session. We're about to run it up. Fred Rispoli, though, breaking this thing down, as the judge ruled in Ripple's favor on programmatic sales and other distributions, the claims against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson for those two categories automatically died at that point, but could theoretically be revived if the SEC appeals and wins on overturning programmatic sales and other distributions. So right now, the claims against Brad and Chris on those sales are dead, right? Because the judge ruled that those are not a security. But if the SEC appeals, then that could potentially open that back up, right? He says, but could theoretically be revived if the SEC appeals and wins on overturning programmatic sales and other distributions, XRP transactions. And the other distributions was them like paying employees, paying for marketing, stuff like that, using XRP as a currency. Definitely wasn't a security. And if the SEC totally wins on appeal, it can't later sue Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson on institutional sales, because this dismissal is with prejudice, which means never, ever, ever can Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson be sued on the institutional sales theory. So was it sloppy drafting in the dismissal to only include institutional sales in the dismissal? I doubt it. I think this is more proof the SEC is going to, as Water T would say, crunch the numbers and wrap this one up for good. And as I've been saying, there is no way that they were letting this thing go to trial. Sure enough, Brad and Chris, case dismissed. So that part of the case not going to trial. The only thing left right now to be, to really happen is the institutional sales, which were ruled a security by Judge Torres. We need to issue the final judgment, or we can see the SEC and Ripple settle up, and this thing gets buttoned up, this thing gets closed up. And as Fred is alluding to right here, that might have left us with another clue as to why they're about to just wrap this thing up, take their bag, take their big old fat check from Brad and Chris. And well, really, it's going to be coming from Ripple. It's not from Brad and Chris because those charges are dismissed. The only money that the SEC would be collecting would be from Ripple for the institutional sales, which is the biggest joke out of this whole thing. They shouldn't be able to collect on this fine just based off the premise that institutional sales are going to accredited investors and institutions. Who are you here to protect? The retail investor. You're not here to protect the accredited and sophisticated, right? The rich. And if Gary Gensler had his way, you'd have to have $10 million net worth to be an accredited investor. It's an absolute joke. And this is what we're seeing right now. Is they are backed into a corner. It's so clear. The SEC, Gary Gensler, you can see him squirming around in his little suit, right? As he answers this question, he leans in. It's so weird. He just looks so weird, doesn't he? Gary Gensler is backed into a corner here with the rest of the SEC, and you see Hester Pierce on mainstream news today trying to cover up her tracks, right? This is mystifying to me. I just don't get it. No, you get it. It's corrupt as hell, and they're receiving back-end favors and deals the whole way through, and it's buddy-buddy. Happy, slappy, good guy, Goldman Gary, taking care of the good guys. It's so simple. Let's not play around. And Hester Pierce, in respect to her institution, I guess, whatever respect we, is due towards the three-letter agency known as the SEC and the rest of the unelected bureaucrats that have hijacked this country and gone after and weaponized their agencies against the American people. And meanwhile, this whole thing, Judge Torres rules that the sales to the institutions was a security, and now the SEC gets to collect a check. It's a joke. I actually wish that Ripple would fight it, but I understand why they probably won't. After 3 years, $200 million, I understand why they want to just wrap this thing up, cut a check, and get on with business. And once that's done, the distributions, it's going to be interesting to watch because we've been seeing them only go to on-demand liquidity institutions. Is Ripple going to fire back up the programmatic sales? Is Ripple going to start selling, more publicly to institutions, i.e., announcing, hey, some of these banks, payment providers, and institutions will just flat out say, yeah, we picked up some XRP, right? That type of institutional sale could be coming, along with other big players who just want to pick up large amounts. Ripple, being the custodian of their reserve currency, they've acted in a righteous way. I've described them as the righteous custodians of this reserve currency of the new financial system. That's how Ripple's operating. Similar to the IMF, I don't compare them to a central bank like the Federal Reserve because they're servicing the whole planet, i.e. their statements, let's make XRP a world reserve digital currency, let's put a dent in the universe. This is meant to be, in the words of Greg Kidd, intergalactic currency, whether space is real or not, whether the earth is flat or round or whatever you want to believe. This currency, this ledger, moves value incredibly efficient at almost no cost. And where else can Ripple start to distribute XRP? The AMMs, the final ingredient, right, to the secret sauce. I see Salamander there with the 589. I appreciate you, my friend. Gary Gensler is Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. The memes make themselves, don't they, with these characters on the world stage? The memes make themselves. And The Simpsons said that XRP was going to 589, didn't they? Didn't they? And so we're about to see here the AMM amendment will be passed eventually. It's just a matter of time. Does it have to go through some more testing? Excuse me. Do we have to see the validators run through some more testing? Absolutely. Sure. They want to go through some testing. They want to trial it out. Anybody can actually go try it out right now on Orchestra Finance. I haven't tried it out for myself. It allows you to play with fake money, fake XRP, and basically invest in a fake liquidity pool and kind of try out the features. So we already have essentially a test net available. And this is what's so incredibly, and I put a respect on all the validators. Don't get it twisted. I put out a video saying that the validators, one, they want to do more testing, and they're kind of hiding behind that because, two, they want attention. These are all the other developers and validators on the XRP ledger that aren't getting attention because we're decoding Ripple and following Ripple and every last thing that they do, but we're not paying attention to the other XRPL validators, which, I want to give them a platform. I want them to be heard. And I just call it like it is. And so that's why I said that, they're saying, yeah, we need some more testing. We need to make sure that this is good to go. And all of these amendments usually take, months, if not years, to actually go through. So this is all normal, but I call a spade. They're taking this opportunity to get some attention, right? And that's fine. That's fine. We can play, a little bit of politics in that way. And I think that some of the amendments that some of these other validators are trying to push, and the story that they're trying to say, I respect it. I get it. I understand what they're doing. And these are the validators that are keeping our network that we have come to love running. I know a lot of us just have our bag of XRP locked away on cold storage, locked away, and we're not really touching it. We're not really using it. We treat it as a reserve currency, just like Ripple does, just like I do. And so we have it untouched. It's, buried in a ledger in our backyard in a treasure chest that you'll never find. We're not playing with our XRP. Meanwhile, these are the folks that are actually keeping this network running and operating. And when it comes time for the additional DeFi and utility that is coming to this XRP ledger, the AMM is going to be a big part. It's David Schwartz's favorite amendment is what he says. Favorite amendment, favorite feature that's going to be coming to the XRPL. And it absolutely is critical for Ripple. So with that being said, guys, I already talked about this in this morning's video about the what did I say? How did I describe it? I forget what I said. The final, oh shoot, I forget. What did I say? The real flip of the switch. I'm always coming up with these titles and stuff. The real flip of the switch, right? That's what this video was this morning, where I described kind of Ripple's plan, end goal with the AMM, and I'm going to have a lot more AMM content coming on the way. So just be ready for that. We'll be breaking it down for everyone to understand. But while we're here, let me do some Q&A. Let's run it up. What are we working with tonight, guys? Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Let's take a look at the charts again. Let's see if this thing's still pumping. 34,500 for Bitcoin right now. Watching this thing right now. Bitcoin 34,500, XRP 549, just below 55. This is a big area of resistance, just jumped above 55 cents. Maybe we need to keep the chart up. If we keep that chart up, maybe we can keep that pump rolling. Maybe we can keep that pump rolling for XRP, baby. Let's go. What's going on here? It feels full moonish. XRP Blinder knows. Coming up on that lunar eclipse. Full moon, harvest moon, by the way. Are you ready for them to collect the harvest? You ready for them to collect that liquidity from the Bitcoin bros? Look out. Am I wearing my Bitcoin short, Zach? It's a good question. I can neither confirm nor deny if I'm wearing pants or not. Bitcoin shorts or not. No, actually, I meant to say that. I was actually on my sticky note right here. I wanted to thank Qcoin because Qcoin kicked me off their app, their exchange, because I'm a U.S. citizen. And if I was able to trade on Qcoin, you guys know I probably would have been in a Bitcoin short, right? I'm not afraid to admit that. And I'd probably be getting wrecked right now because I probably would have entered that Bitcoin short near 30K. I would have entered into it again right here at about 33,000. And then it probably, it kept on going up here. We're at 34,500 right now. Earlier tonight, we pumped up to 35,200. And so we'll have to see here what Bitcoin does the rest of this week if we do see a bull trap rally kind of come in like I'm expecting. But right now, 34,500, I would have been wrecked on my Bitcoin short. Now, the good thing is I would have just added to it. But yeah, I would have definitely had to have, covered my margin on this one. I would have been wrecked. Or maybe I would have just exited and taken an L. I've lost one time. Okay, I have one L shorting my Bitcoin since last year. And we've made some good money doing that. But I would have been wrecked on this one because I was telling you guys last week that I would have been looking to short right in here at 30K. 28.5 to 30K. I would have gotten cleaned. But that's all right. I rode some of my trades up like that. I would ride them up, or ride them down 20 or 30%, add to them, double down on my position just to ride them back down to profit. And that's how I've been making money during the bear market in crypto, at least. Other than that, just been focusing on the businesses right now, real estate too. You guys catch our most recent real estate update? Got another one coming up here shortly for you guys. The amount of times I LOL to Z reading Peaky's comments. Shannon, I know. How are we doing tonight, guys? But XRP never go up. Even so many good news comes out. What does this mean? Go down. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's one of the most manipulated assets in the world. One of the most suppressed assets in the world. It's very clear. And as I've been showing you guys, right, all of the adoption, all of the deals with Ripple and their on-demand liquidity partners, they've been selling to them over the counter. So it doesn't even hit the public DEX. It doesn't hit the public retail markets or exchanges. And so that's why we have no effect on price from ODL right now. And then when they go to actually, do the ODL flows with XRP, that settlement's happening through centralized exchanges. And it's really not hitting, it's having some impact on the order books, but it's slim. It's slim. But it's only going to ramp up with the AMM liquidity pools because Ripple is going to be able to flip the switch with some of their partners for ODL, and they'll be able to go create liquidity pools, right? When it's, like think of SBI Holdings. SBI Holdings can issue the Japanese yen on the XRPL. That's going to be the issued asset on one side of the liquidity pool. On the other side is XRP, which SBI has a bunch of that too, right? Excuse me. So you have SBI Holdings puts, Japanese yen on the XRPL through an issued asset. That makes SBI Holdings the issuer, right? And then the token would be Japanese yen. And then on the other side, we add XRP, and that's a liquidity pair right there that you got for Japanese yen. And that can happen at any time now. It might already be in the works for what we know, right? We know that there's 30 conversations and deals taking place with central banks and Ripple right now as we speak. 30 plus. There's 10 confirmed pilots and projects, 5 that have been announced, 5 that have not been announced. And then there's 20 plus conversations that are happening. Now, my man Stuart from Australia, you gotta be kidding me. Coming in with that Australian. What's the currency name for Australia? I don't know what the Australian dollar is called. But he drops a hundo. Are you kidding me, brother? Stuart, much love. Hunter's Moon, full moon. October 28th. Hunter. It is also known as the Hunter's Moon, isn't it? It's the harvest and it's the hunters, isn't it? Stuart coming in heavy. And we, like I said, we got the Aussies in the chat. You know, they're just enjoying their evening over there in Australia right now as we're approaching 9 o'clock on the West Coast, midnight on the East Coast. It's so funny to me, the different time zones, you know. It's like now it's just 24/7. I feel like I could be live streaming nonstop. Maybe that's what we're going to do, is we're just going to become the CNN of truth, of cryptocurrency current events and how to actually make some dang money. We're going to become the CNN of that, just streaming 24/7 because it's just nonstop. Really is. Market's moving nonstop too now. Salamander 2-spot, appreciate the love. XRP will allow me to leave legacy for my family. And XRP is just one part of leaving that legacy for the family, right, too, for me. It's tough to build out a business to pass on to, you know, descendants, to children. A lot of times children don't want to take it on, but that is one way to pass on some legacy, some wealth to the family. Obviously for me too, a big thing's precious metals, right? I mean, I'm sorry. I know folks, you know, and I was laughing because Robert Kiyosaki has been copying me. I don't know if you guys have seen him. He's been holding up his dollar and he's been holding up his silver. And I've been dying laughing because I'm just thinking that's exactly what I do, right? I think about handing this on down to my daughter, right? And I let her play with this sometimes, but she can drop this one. This is the 10-ouncer. She can drop this on her toes, and I don't want her to do that. So then I let her play with the 1-ouncers. And to teach them that that's money, and to think about where that is going to be at per ounce 10, 20 years down the line, right? I don't plan on really selling this stuff. I just plan on keeping it and then hand it on down to the children to, you know, teach them a lesson on real money, on real value, you know? And right now you walk down the street, and because this is a bar, they probably wouldn't be interested. But if you had a 1-ounce coin, I've seen a couple of videos on this that have gone viral. You offer people a 1-ounce gold coin, or you offer them $20. They'll take the $20 because they don't know the value of precious metals. They don't know the value of real money. All they know is US dollars. And all the new generation and all the kids are going to know is CBDC, you know, or, you know, digital money, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, WeChat, you name it, crypto. All they're going to know is digital payments, or all they're going to know is swipe palm, iris scan, chip, relay, chip, you know, scanned, whether it's in your palm, whether it's in your wrist, whether it's in your head. That's all the kids are going to know. And I'm gonna have a little bit of silver to teach them a little lesson. I'm gonna say I bought these things. I paid what, you know, $24.50, $25. We got some good connects for precious metals. You guys already know the deal. It's linked up down below at my website, ZachRector.com. If you're looking to get them shipped directly to you or roll over your 401k retirement account, we can do that too. You get a good deal on this stuff right now. You know, it's up to $23 an ounce for silver. Let's take a look at the markets right now. But I was laughing at Robert Kiyosaki because he's doing the same representation, because he's talking about when silver was trading at $50 per ounce. You would have had to pay $500 plus your premium for this bar right here. $500. This is a little shiny rock, right? No, it's real money. real value, real utility. And as we're finding out now in the new Green New Deal, it's got a whole new value in the Green New Deal, doesn't it? Electric vehicles. Let's take a look at these markets right now, though, folks. So back to the charts. Let's go back to the charts. Bitcoin really just stole the show. Now it's cooling back off as we speak, 34,375. So back down here, guys. This thing's moving right now as we speak. A lot of volume here. So we got a lot of action coming in here. This is going to be an interesting one to watch. We could live show all night. What do you guys say? Should we just run a live stream all night? Keep the pump going? 54.9 for XRP cooling off. One of the most rigged, suppressed charts in the world. Let's take a look, though. These matter. DXY, this is our dollar index, gets killed today. Cooling back off. Recently, we were back up here, back up to 106 for the dollar index, but we get killed today, back down to 105.4. That's your DXY. Now, the 2-year got killed today, recovering here a little bit into this evening, but it did get wrecked here today, back down today in a major way. But still, this is what's making the whole thing go bust, is the 2-year comes back down today, right? Gets hit. It's still at 5%. You get a 2-year bond right now and you get a 5% return. Why would you go invest in real estate right now at a 4 and 5 cap when you can go get a 5 cap, a 5% return on your money in 2 years versus on a real estate investment that could be, 5, 10, 20 years plus? It's a different deal if you're a real estate hustler and operator. I get that. And you don't have tax advantages. I get that. So for the seasoned, sophisticated real estate investor, I get it. You can still, probably make the case that a 6, 7, 8 cap might still be worth it because you're still beating inflation and you have tax liabilities. But when I think of returns right now, guys, if you're not at 10% plus, you're not beating inflation. If you think that buying a 2-year treasury bond at a 5% is winning, you're breaking even with phony, fake, manipulated government CPI lie data. And you're losing big time when it comes to food, energy, housing, shelter, and, vehicles, everything that matters, because all that's up 10, 20% plus. Now the 10-year, this thing, look at that. this 10-year got smacked today. Now, it tipped back up to 5%. This is the first time since 2007, by the way, that the 10-year is up to this level. And now it gets smacked here down to 4.8. Okay. But where we're at right now is, this is a cool off. But we could see these yields rise even further because they're going to have to go further for folks to want to do this deal with the United States government, to loan them money for 10 years. And yeah, you're making 4.8%, but what is real inflation at? Right? And bonds are on track to have one of their worst years ever again. Worst year in history last year, and we'll be watching that closely. Now, oil cooled off here again today. Little cool off for oil, back down to $90 for Brent, and that's the worldwide benchmark. Silver was back down today, but now we're already rallying once again. You see how strong these are? See, let me go back to oil. Oil's holding here strong above $90 per barrel. It was back up to $93. But this is where we've been at, for the last couple months here. Okay. These are holding incredibly strong. Silver already pumping once again after it had a bad day Monday to start off the week, which really wasn't even that bad. We're already moving back up, and we could see this thing, breaking back above $25 again here soon, potentially. The next big move that we're watching is gold. And this thing has triple tapped off the all-time high level of about 2,000. And what do you guys think happens next for Bitcoin? Right? This thing, for gold, because now we've triple tapped off this all-time high level of about 2,000 to 2,100. Nvidia pumped up here today, finally recovered after last week it got killed. Last week it got killed big time. Biden banning the chip sales got killed. And it shared some hype news today. I forget what it was. It was something about they were something with chips. I forget what they were doing, but they released a piece of hype news today. And so the stock did pump, but most of the stocks actually were down today. S&P 500 down. Dow down. But these have a long ways to go, in my opinion. Okay. So we're going to have to watch that carefully. What else are you guys working with? Let me take some of your guys' questions. How come they don't talk much about the Ripple patents? James, that's a good question. We've talked about them in the past. They're a key part. The ODL patents that they have are key. Yep, very key. NVIDIA is so overvalued, Colin. Yeah, I appreciate you, Colin. There's a whole story behind that company and what they've been doing. I haven't delved into it too deeply, but to me, it's pretty easy to see when I just, take a look at the broader equities market, the broader, S&P 500 being held up by these 7 tech stocks that are keeping the whole S&P 500 up. It's holding on here, but it's due for a correction, and that's what's coming in. What's exciting to me is to finally see crypto decouple, but crypto is decoupling based off of a narrative, based off of a hype narrative that might not actually come to fruition yet. Or, as I also believe, could be a buy the rumor, sell the news event as well. Gold about to get dumped, take your profits. That's the thing, is that we could see the bankers, we could see the big guys come in a major way to keep the lid on this thing. We've seen it in the past, and you've seen it the last 3 years, really. The last 3 years, we've seen gold tap that all-time high $2,000 an ounce level in 2020, in 2022, and here this year once again. Back up to an all-time high this year. And it's already trading at a premium in many countries too. Zach, does the Rector Halloween costume come in only extra, extra, extra tall? And do I get a red folder prop? Right. You do get a red folder. That is included. I actually, I am XL. I'm not extra tall, but I am XL. Yeah. Do I think that Tom Emmer will get Speaker of the House? It looks like he might have a chance. There's a lot of drama there. I haven't been watching that too closely. To me, it's so perfect. We don't even have a Speaker of the House. Congress is not even really in session getting anything done. And meanwhile, we're at war. Our situation back home is just deteriorating as far as the economy goes. And meanwhile, we don't even have a Speaker of the House. Gotta love it. Super Style says it's 3 p.m. in Australia, still at work. See, the Aussies are still, they're still working away. God bless them. Big shoes. Size 14. Size 14 for what it's worth. No, not again. Not again, Stuart. Are you kidding me? Brother. We're going to have a Australia meetup. Are you kidding me? Stuart, you're the man. You'll see gold currently at 1980 and rising, hitting the 2000 mark. If it stays above that for at least 14 days, it'll signal bull. Stuart, what can you pick up gold for right now in Australia? I'm interested what the comparison, to US dollars would be. Because right now in Shanghai, they're paying over $115 premium on top of the US price back home here. So what is our COMEX price is at, what is it? 1976. So they're paying nearly 2,075 to basically 2,100 plus the premium on top of that to your dealer. So they're basically paying 2,100 spot plus your premium. And I don't know what the premiums are in China. I would imagine that the premiums are pretty stiff because, it's in big demand over there. But I'm curious to know what it's trading at in Australia, what you could go pick it up for in Australia. Do I ever brew my own beer? No. No, I don't mess around with that. I know a lot of people are all into that. For me, I don't like heavy beer. I only drink light beer. The heavy beer fills me up too much, gets me too bloated. I just only do the light beer. And then sometimes I'll do some secret sauce, a little bit of whiskey or something, and then wine. That's about it for me. Stuart keeps the super chats, Malbec red. So $3,200 Australian, which is equivalent to about $19.80. So it's pretty close to the US price. Right. Yeah. So you guys are basically pretty close to the US price, but this is where these other countries where they're having problems with a flight of capital getting out of their country, i.e. Sydney, Australia. Great example. You guys got all sorts of money coming from there, and they're getting it out of there as fast as they can. So you got Sydney, Australia, you got Vancouver, BC, you got Seattle, you got San Francisco, Portland, and many other major US cities as well, along with other major worldwide cities, where it's just, let's get the cash out of there as fast as possible. I just saw another post a couple of weeks ago about someone getting busted with gold taped to their belly, trying to get out of the country. It's incredible. And now there's, we tied it together earlier in the show. There's a lot of speculation on the current pump up right now could be based, partially off of outflows have been record high out of China over the last month. The FX outflows have been a record high. We haven't had levels like this in a few years. And, oh, by the way, I wanted to add on to that. I was reading earlier today. The China stock market has erased nearly all of its gains that it experienced over the last 4 years. So imagine what that would look like here back home in the United States. Can you imagine going back to stock prices from pre-pandemic, right? That's what China's done for their equities. And so that's why there's so much money trying to get out of there right now. They just had a record month of September for outflows. Watching Bitcoin right now back down to 34,200, so starting to cool off. We got a new 4-hour candle that has been printed here to start a new 4-hour candle. Right at 2100, 9 o'clock, we get another candle here. Watching that one closely. XRP 546 cooling off a little bit too. James says, Zach, we are getting tomahawk steaks when XRP explodes. Sounds good to me. I love a good steak. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. Take a look at this Bitcoin chart right here. $34,200 for Bitcoin, cooling back off a little bit. By the way, guys, quick disclaimer, I'm no longer responding back on any of the social media platforms because I've had so many scammers and impersonators. So if you're looking to get in touch with me, I won't be responding on any social media platforms. I'm only going to be responding through my website, my email. You just go to my website, zachrictor.com, or for the Patreon Discord community members, they can DM me there too if you're looking to get in touch with that group. It's all at my website, zachrictor.com. You sign up through Patreon to get access to Discord. I have links for your precious metals affiliates too. If you're looking to get the hookup on precious metals, getting them shipped directly to you, rolling over the 401k, we got them both, along with some of my other, trusted crypto exchanges and wallets. It's all at my website, zachrictor.com. But please watch out because the impersonators are trying to impersonate me and they're trying to say that I'm going to trade for you. I will never trade for you. I don't trade for anybody. So that is not me, and I'm not going to be responding any further on social media platforms because these platforms aren't helping us out. We have teams of, we have a full team of people that are blocking and reporting all of these impersonators, along with myself too, as fast as we can, and it's every single day, dozens on every single platform. So it's just a never-ending job. And we're not really getting any help from the social media platform. So quick disclaimer, I have to get that out of the way. Because I just hate to hear these stories of folks that are getting taken advantage of. So please watch out for the scammers and the impersonators. If you see them, please help me out by reporting them, getting them out of here. And I don't know if it'll ever end. It's crazy. These platforms, it doesn't seem like they're doing much, but hopefully the AI will help them kind of track and monitor that, and hopefully they'll be able to shut that down here soon. Now, we do have a great point. Someone mentioned that Coinbase gets to go after the SEC tomorrow. That's true. The SEC gets to file their final dismissal, or basically request for dismissal to the case right now between them and the SEC. So they get to issue tomorrow to the judge their final case on why the case should be dismissed, and we'll get to see that from Coinbase. It's going to be an interesting one. And we'll see how the judge rules on that one. But like I said, the SEC, on every corner they're taking right now, they're just getting handed big, fat L's. Every single corner. Market's pumping hard for sure. I mean, you guys see this thing. This is just today's price action right here. Big time pump for Bitcoin today. It was pretty fun earlier, though, today, watching that thing just rip to the upside, because I was zoomed out on the weekly chart, which I'll pull that up for you guys so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I was zoomed out on the weekly chart for Bitcoin, and it was just incredible to watch the thing move so much. Because when you're zoomed out that far on a chart for on a weekly, and to see it, I mean, golly, look at this thing. This thing's nuts. And I was looking at the weekly chart zoomed out on this time frame right here. And I'll show you guys why I did this. Here's my chart. Okay, here's your weekly chart for Bitcoin. Look at this thing, right? And the reason why I zoomed out this far is all the way back to the November lows of this bear market. November lunar eclipse, go figure. Lunar eclipse of November, we get sacrificed, Sam Bankman-Fried, and we get taken back down to 15,500. And I was measuring so far, this is about a 125% move to the upside. Look at that, 127% to the upside for Bitcoin. Pretty incredible, right? Now it's cooled off, obviously, back down to 34,300 right now as we watch this thing. But 127% in the middle of this bear market. Sounds impressive, right? Until you go look at this thing. Let me go find this. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. 127% bull trap rally. Sounds incredible, right? Until you compare it to the move that we made last bear market, which was from about 3,000 back up to 13,000. Right here, 2019, bear market, depths of bear market. I had actually entered the crypto market in 2018. In 2019, I started going all in XRP, right? And during this run up in 2019, we got a 342% bull trap rally. Right now it's showing 336, but I've done the measurements before. It's 342% to be exact. But we did a 300% bull trap rally in the middle of the last bear market before what happened? The simulation events of March 2020 brings us back down to 3,700. So watch out. That's why I'm watching out right now. Let me show you guys once again where we're at currently. $127 bull trap rally. Where are we at? We're in the second year of a bear market, right? 2018 was when the ICO bubble popped. 2019 was a bear market. 2020, we got cleaned out to start. Black Swan with the simulation events in March 2022. And then we began the next bull run, and the Bitcoin halving just so happened to be in, what was it, April or May of that year too. Now, coming up in 2024, we have another Bitcoin halving in April of 2024. Perfect timing. We have a case in the SEC versus Ripple that was supposed to go to trial in April, no longer will be. And we will potentially see if that thing settles up here between now and then. But we're on the brink of regulations, and we're on the brink of an SEC spot ETF approval getting approved, spot ETF getting approved between now and then as well. So we have a lot of excitement. We've done a 127% bull trap rally, but we've seen this before. That's why I hesitate to say that we've begun the next bull market, right? This time is different. This time we're in a world war, right? But we saw what happened during, mass fear panic simulation event, March 2020. Bitcoin went back down. It got killed. So we just got to stay ready. And it's not that we have to go back down to 3K or do a move similar this bull run where we go back down to 15K. We easily could. There's a lot of folks that are calling for 12K Bitcoin. A lot of folks calling for sub 20K Bitcoin. Absolutely. We don't have to do that, but we've done that in the past. Okay. Now, I don't think that we will. I think that there's more strength here. We've, entered we're further along with the adoption. There's more liquidity in the market right now. So instead of having a bull trap rally of 300% during this bear market, we're having a bull trap rally of 127%. And then we're going to have a correction of, maybe another 40, 50% back down to, sub 20 for a brief moment in time again. Could easily be done. But hey, if this is the bull market, if this is it, if they do want to send it, we've positioned ourselves accordingly, right? We have our digital assets. We've been stacking them, and we've been taking advantage of the opportunities to buy on the low. But, this thing goes between now and next year. We enter the next bull run. And I believe that Powell's Pandora's box opens up, i.e. the Fed pivots and turns back on the money printer, drops interest rates, and all of the risk on assets are going to fly. Now, the reason why risk on assets like Bitcoin and XRP are pumping right now and, overall crypto market is because folks want an alternative. That's why gold's pumping. That's why oil's pumping. Folks want real value. As I shared earlier, where is the value at? Cryptocurrencies are equity-based assets, which means they are no one's liabilities, they are not IOUs, and they have no counterparties. Examples of other equity-based assets are land, physical commodities, and personal property. This is what we stack right now. During a bear market, during a recession, if they black swan us here again, we hope and pray that our orders will go through on these exchanges. But we're going to have to watch this one here. This narrative, this hype. I knew the energy was going to be coming in strong, back-to-back solar eclipse to lunar eclipse. I knew it was going to be strong. Sure enough, here we go. Back up to 35,000. That's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. It's going to fake out a lot of people. 127% bull trap. Or is this the real deal? Maybe it's the real deal. Well, you guys let me know. How much longer is this pump going to last? What do you guys say? 35.2 is the top that we reached today. 35,200. XRP Blinder, 5 spot. Thanks for another good show, brother. Appreciate you immensely. No Malbec Red, but love to all here tonight. Much love. Much love. We got a little bit of a pump, but we're not bringing the top shelf bottle off the shelf there yet. We're saving that one. We're saving that one. I appreciate everyone for stopping by tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure running up this live show, guys. Like I said, everything else can be found on my website, ZachRector.com, and it really does us a big help if you just smash it, if you just tap it, if you just do something with that thumbs up, or if you're a hater and you're mad because I think this is a bull trap rally, you can give me a thumbs down too. Just do something. And let's share it out far and wide. Let's make sure we show up tomorrow too. We got more content on the way. So make sure you guys stay tuned, and I will see you guys in the next one. God bless you all. Thank you so much for a great night. And a huge shout out to everyone who dropped the super chats and all the love tonight. God bless you all. Thank you so much.